Every device on Earth lit up with the same chilling alert: Earth has been identified as a strategic target. Screens flashed, phones buzzed, and the world froze in collective disbelief. News anchors stammered, speculating, contradicting themselves in real time, as global social media erupted into chaos. Markets plummeted, governments convened emergency meetings, and ordinary people struggled to comprehend a threat that seemed both immediate and unimaginable. Fear swept across continents like wildfire, a primal panic that made people hoard, argue, and desperately search for answers. Humanity had faced crises before, but nothing on this scale. A planet-wide alarm had never sounded, and the weight of potential annihilation pressed on every mind simultaneously. Amid the terror, flashes of human behavior stood out. Some crouched in fear, some began stockpiling supplies, others refused to accept helplessness. There was confusion, yes, but also a stubborn spark that refused to die, a subtle defiance threaded through the panic. Satellites relayed data from the far reaches of the solar system, showing massive alien vessels approaching at impossible speeds. Each ship dwarfed cities, their surfaces bristling with weaponry beyond comprehension, moving with a precision that suggested total annihilation was not just possible, it was inevitable. Intelligence from multiple sources hinted that this was no random strike. Earth had been singled out for elimination, not negotiation. The Armada's arrival would not be a warning or demonstration. It was calculated, precise, and merciless. Every scientist, military officer, and strategist scrambled to interpret the numbers, yet the sheer scale made analysis nearly useless. Advanced alien technology rendered human detection and comprehension inadequate, yet humans kept trying, driven by an instinct to survive that refused to accept defeat. Global leaders convened virtually and physically, but fear paralyzed them. Military strategists argued endlessly over interception, retaliation, or evacuation, only to be countered by diplomats who cautioned restraint and negotiation. The meetings spiraled into chaos, with no consensus in sight. Every suggestion seemed either too weak or too provocative, every delay potentially fatal. Humanity's complexity, its curiosity, pride, and stubbornness, became both a hindrance and a strength. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans debated, improvised, and planned, demonstrating an innate resilience that no alien calculus could easily account for. Despite uncertainty, a faint current of determination ran through the chaos, hinting at the possibility that survival might depend on creativity rather than conventional tactics. In a cramped, dimly lit room halfway across the world, a lone figure worked feverishly. Wires tangled across a battered desk, monitors displayed lines of code, and small electronic devices blinked in silent urgency. A hacker, barely noticed in the chaos consuming governments and institutions, scanned every accessible frequency for anomalies. Hours of sifting through static and interference finally paid off. A faint, seemingly abandoned galactic communication channel appeared. The signal was crude, unprotected, almost forgotten. It was the kind of opportunity only a human could recognize, a loophole that intelligence alone might have ignored. The hacker's pulse raced with anticipation, realizing the power of what they had discovered. Humanity had never communicated with the galaxy in such a direct way, and here was a chance to speak, perhaps to warn, perhaps to challenge, perhaps to defy. The hacker's fingers hovered over the keyboard, weighing the risks and consequences. One wrong move could alert alien forces to their presence, risking immediate retaliation. Yet the alternative was passive waiting, surrendering Earth to inevitable destruction. Each keystroke carried the potential to change the fate of billions. Outside, humans continued their frantic preparations, unaware that one small, audacious individual might hold a thread connecting survival to the unlikeliest of gambits. Every second felt stretched, each decision loaded with cosmic significance, yet filtered through the lens of human intuition and improvisation. This was the essence of humanity, audacious, unpredictable, and relentless. As tension built, the hacker prepared to transmit a message that could alter the course of history. The world teetered on the brink, satellites transmitted warnings and confirmations, and alien fleets closed the distance to Earth. Fear gripped cities, Yet somewhere in the chaos, humanity's defining trait, its refusal to succumb quietly, began to emerge. While the galaxy viewed Earth as vulnerable and insignificant, humans began to understand that sometimes audacity could equal power, that cleverness and courage could bridge the gap between annihilation and survival. The hacker's breath caught in the stillness before the storm, hands poised to act, signaling that this was not just a moment of desperation but an assertion of human ingenuity. In homes, offices, and bunkers across the globe, people remained oblivious to the tiny pivot point that might determine their survival. Panic, fear, and debate dominated every conversation, yet no one could see the quiet defiance unfolding in a dim room, where humanity's audacity prepared to speak louder than any weapon or fleet. The hacker's actions, small in appearance yet monumental in consequence, reflected the core of human nature, resourceful, brave, and unpredictable. Here, on the edge of extinction, humans were about to show that survival was not just a matter of strength or numbers but of spirit, intellect, and courage. As the clock ticked closer to first contact, the hacker activated the transmission sequence. The room glowed with the light of screens, wires hummed, and for a brief, infinite moment, the fate of Earth rested on one person's resolve. The message would not only reach the approaching alien armada but echo across civilizations, carrying with it the audacity of an entire species that refused to bow, that refused to be erased quietly. Humanity's defiance had begun, and the galaxy would not remain indifferent. The hacker's fingers flew over the keyboard, guided by intuition and a deep understanding that logic alone would not suffice. Every line of code bent alien encryption, every digital maneuver pushed the limits of possibility. Hours of trial and error condensed into moments of near perfection, as human ingenuity bridged the gap between vulnerability and influence. Signals pulsed across frequencies, weaving through alien networks with a precision that felt impossible, yet somehow worked. The hacker understood that the galaxy had never encountered this kind of audacity before, a species small, insignificant by cosmic standards, yet daring enough to strike boldly where others would hesitate. With access secured, the hacker began crafting the message. Words had to carry meaning across species, intelligence levels, and interpretations. Concise, defiant, and unmistakable, the message proclaimed that humanity was aware of the approaching threat, fully prepared, and unwilling to be destroyed without contest. Every sentence balanced clarity and provocation, carrying a subtle undertone of humor and pride that humans instinctively understood. It was a signal of both warning and confidence, a psychological strike as much as a communication. This was the essence of humanity distilled into digital text, clever, audacious, unpredictable, impossible to ignore. When the message was finally ready, transmission began. Pulses raced through galactic networks, bypassing defenses, infiltrating communication arrays of multiple civilizations simultaneously. The ripple effect was instantaneous. Alien sensors registered the intrusion, and war rooms across star systems erupted in alarms and confusion. Some fleets paused, engines humming with uncertainty, unable to interpret the audacity of the signal. Others reacted with offense, perceiving it as a challenge or insult. The galaxy, vast and organized, now found itself uncertain, debating the meaning of a single human message. Everywhere, interpretations varied. Militaristic factions viewed it as aggression, escalating readiness levels, mobilizing fleets, and reviewing strike plans. Strategically minded civilizations paused, intrigued by the audacity and calculating what it implied about human potential. Some analysts predicted humanity's imminent defeat, others considered the message a demonstration of ingenuity that could not be dismissed. Across thousands of worlds, debates raged in silence and in open councils alike. Every species recognized that humans were no longer mere victims. They were unpredictable variables in a system designed for control and domination. Back on Earth, the world remained largely unaware of the magnitude of impact. Citizens continued to panic, to prepare, to cling to hope and fear, oblivious that one person's actions were already forcing the galaxy to reconsider. Governments intercepted fragments of alien chatter, noticing hesitation where before there was certainty. Military systems detected unusual patterns in approaching fleets, signs of strategic recalculation. Humanity, small and fragile in physical terms, had created an invisible advantage: confusion, curiosity, and respect among civilizations that had considered Earth a doomed target. The ripple effect expanded beyond immediate alien observers. News of the broadcast, though filtered and fragmented, reached every corner of Earth. The hacker's message became a quiet legend, whispered among operatives and analysts who glimpsed the intercepted signals. Even with partial knowledge, humanity sensed a shift, a subtle, exhilarating change in the cosmic tide. The audacity of one human action was altering outcomes on a scale no single mind had imagined. Panic remained, but it was now punctuated with possibility. Fear mixed with the rare, intoxicating sense of leverage. Alien reactions were not uniform. Some factions prepared to retaliate immediately, convinced this was a trap or prelude to deception. Others debated for hours, recalculating strategies, questioning their understanding of humanity. Councils convened, messages exchanged at light speed, and interstellar diplomacy erupted in unpredictable ways. Analysts and military officers struggled to interpret signals, translating nuances of tone and intent across languages and cultures alien to comprehension. Humans had introduced chaos into systems designed to be deterministic. Predictability was a tool for control, and humanity had shattered it. In the quiet of control rooms and command centers, alien leaders began to admire the audacity they had initially dismissed. They recognized that while humans lacked fleets of comparable scale or weapons beyond imagination, they possessed unpredictability, ingenuity, and a relentless will to survive. Traits alien civilizations valued but rarely encountered in combination. The message had achieved what conventional defense or diplomacy could not. It had made the galaxy pause, reconsider, and fear the consequences of underestimating a small blue planet. Earth's population continued unaware, but subtle signs emerged. Satellites recorded anomalies in approaching formations, sensors detected unusual communications between alien vessels, and astronomers noticed inexplicable energy fluctuations. Ordinary humans speculated about cosmic coincidences, unaware that the smallest signal from one individual had sparked a galaxy-wide re-evaluation. Humanity, previously viewed as fragile and insignificant, now occupied a pivotal role in interstellar affairs. The message had proven that audacity, intelligence, and courage could outweigh technological disparity, if applied with precision and resolve. Every calculation, every pause, every altered trajectory highlighted a fundamental truth: humans were unpredictable. They could not be fully anticipated or constrained by logic, planning, or brute force. Across the stars, fleets reconsidered, strategies shifted, and the galaxy's hierarchy of power experienced its first tremor of uncertainty. The hacker, unaware of the full scope of the effect, continued monitoring. Every response, every ripple, only reinforced the human understanding that ingenuity, timing, and nerve could equal influence over civilizations far more powerful. As alien factions debated, Earth's window for survival widened. Panic on the planet remained, but within the chaos, the HFY element, human resilience, creativity, and courage, began to define the narrative. One individual's determination had shifted cosmic dynamics, proving that even a single human could leave an indelible mark on the galaxy. It was audacity that had forced hesitation, unpredictability that had commanded attention, and ingenuity that had made a species once considered insignificant impossible to ignore. The message had done more than warn or threaten, it had asserted humanity's presence. Across star systems, alien civilizations re-evaluated assumptions, recalculated strategies, and debated options. Earth remained under threat, but for the first time, survival was plausible not because of might, but because of audacity. The galaxy had been shaken, discussions erupted, and a single signal had rewritten expectations. Humanity had made itself impossible to ignore, not through firepower, but through spirit, intelligence, and courage. The hacker's broadcast had become a declaration: Earth was awake, aware, and defiant. Across the galaxy, councils convened in urgency. Alien leaders pored over the human message, debating its meaning and implications with unprecedented intensity. Militaristic factions demanded immediate strikes, convinced the message was a prelude to aggression or a trap. Strategists argued for caution, analyzing patterns and inconsistencies, questioning whether humanity's audacity masked hidden capabilities. Entire fleets were held in stasis, engines humming intense anticipation, while thousands of analysts attempted to decode the intent behind words shaped by human logic and humor. Every civilization interpreted the broadcast differently, reflecting values, fears, and ambitions unique to their species. Humans had inserted uncertainty into a system built on precision and predictability. While alien deliberations unfolded, Earth's governments scrambled to understand what was occurring. Intercepted signals hinted that alien fleets were hesitant, unsure whether to strike immediately. Military advisors recommended restraint and preparation, while diplomats sensed opportunity in chaos. Uncertainty dominated every decision, yet humans adapted quickly, exploiting confusion to send subtle, strategic signals without direct confrontation. Improvisation became a human advantage, a trait alien civilizations struggled to account for. Every intercepted response reinforced the lesson: unpredictability was a weapon, audacity a form of influence. Humanity, small and technologically inferior, was gaining leverage over civilizations that once considered Earth insignificant. Alien fleets shifted positions, some moving closer in apparent aggression, others retreating to re-evaluate strategy. Internal debates raged within councils, spanning philosophical, military, and diplomatic lines. Some species argued that the message proved humans were a threat, their unpredictability dangerous enough to warrant preemptive destruction. Others saw opportunity: a species capable of clever, bold, and rapid decision-making could become a valuable ally or asset in galactic politics. Arguments persisted across interstellar distances, and with every transmission, the galaxy experienced ripples of uncertainty that no single leader could control. The human message had become a pivot point, a catalyst for analysis, fear, and admiration. Earth's population remained largely unaware of the magnitude of impact. Citizens continued panic, preparation, and debate over survival, oblivious to the galactic chessboard unfolding around them. However, subtle signals emerged. Satellite scans detected unexpected fleet formations, astronomers observed energy fluctuations unaccounted for by conventional physics, and analysts intercepted cryptic alien communications. The galaxy's focus on Earth had shifted from assured destruction to hesitation, opening a narrow window of opportunity. Ordinary humans remained unaware that one species' audacity was forcing civilizations to reconsider centuries of planning, strategy, and assumptions. Some alien factions began to recognize the unique qualities of humanity. Traits dismissed in the past, creativity, humor, resilience, and audacity, were now driving strategic re-evaluation. Fleets once poised for assault were paused, councils extended meetings indefinitely, and analysts debated whether Earth's apparent fragility concealed latent potential. Humans were a species that could not be fully anticipated, whose responses were neither predictable nor consistent with conventional logic. This realization sowed both fear and admiration across the galaxy, redefining expectations about what it meant to encounter an emerging civilization. Meanwhile, human leaders adapted to emerging advantages. They intercepted fragments of alien deliberations, noted pauses in fleet movements, and understood that their influence extended beyond passive survival. Through subtle signals, misinformation, and indirect communication, humanity introduced confusion, curiosity, and caution into civilizations that had expected compliance. Every pause, hesitation, or recalibration by alien factions reinforced the human principle that intellect, courage, and unpredictability could outweigh raw power. The galaxy was learning that Earthlings were not to be underestimated. As time passed, the HFY element became increasingly clear. Humans were rewriting the rules of engagement not through fleets, weapons, or alliances, but through ingenuity, determination, and audacity. Alien analysts struggled to reconcile their assumptions with observable behavior, while Earth citizens remained oblivious to the role they were playing in shaping interstellar strategy. Uncertainty dominated, yet humans thrived within it, improvising and maneuvering in ways no algorithm or protocol could predict. Every signal sent, every decision made, reinforced the idea that humanity was a species capable of influencing outcomes far beyond its apparent reach. Galactic diplomacy shifted in tone. Factions that had advocated immediate aggression were forced to reconsider, while those favoring observation and analysis gained influence. Fleets held positions in tense standoff, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Councils debated possibilities ranging from preemptive destruction to strategic alliances. Analysts and leaders acknowledged that Earth's defiance, once considered a minor annoyance, had now become a central factor in decision-making across multiple civilizations. Humanity's existence and audacity had inserted unpredictability into an otherwise deterministic system, creating hesitation, debate, and caution where certainty had once reigned. Humanity, unaware of the full scope, continued ordinary life under panic and preparation. Yet each day brought subtle signs of influence: alien ships recalculating trajectories, fleets pausing, communication anomalies, and energy fluctuations. The HFY lesson was clear: humans, small and seemingly insignificant, were capable of altering outcomes far beyond their immediate perception. The audacity, ingenuity, and resilience of one species had introduced a variable that no civilization could fully anticipate or ignore. Humanity's unpredictability had become a strategic asset, a force that demanded respect, recalibration, and careful consideration. The galaxy's focus remained on Earth, yet hesitation reigned. Alien factions debated whether the planet was a threat, an opportunity, or an anomaly too complex to categorize. Fleets maintained positions without engaging, while councils continued endless deliberations. Every action and non-action reflected the growing acknowledgement that humanity's unpredictable nature was now central to interstellar calculations. One message, sent by a single human, had sparked hesitation, admiration, and strategic reassessment across civilizations that had long assumed dominance. Earth had survived the initial threat, not through firepower or overwhelming technology, but through ingenuity, audacity, and unpredictability. Humans had leveraged confusion, hesitation, and curiosity to shift galactic priorities. The HFY moment was undeniable: a small, fragile species had imposed itself on civilizations far more powerful, demonstrating that intellect, courage, and creativity could rival strength and size. The hacker's broadcast had fundamentally altered the galaxy's perception of humanity, forcing reconsideration, debate, and respect. Survival now rested not on weapons, but on the audacity to act, the courage to defy expectations, and the creativity to shape outcomes where none seemed possible. The hacker, realizing the galaxy was watching, prepared one final transmission. This message carried the weight of human audacity, blending confidence, cunning, and subtle bluff. It suggested that Earth possessed defenses far beyond apparent capability, hidden technologies and strategies that could cripple any attacking fleet. The wording was precise, deliberately ambiguous, designed to provoke curiosity, hesitation, and fear. Across star systems, alien analysts intercepted the signal and debated its validity. Some dismissed it as bluff, others feared it might conceal genuine power. Humanity's unpredictability had become a tool, a psychological weapon shaping decisions across civilizations that once considered the planet insignificant. Alien councils erupted with conflicting advice. Militaristic factions demanded immediate retaliation, claiming deception could mask hidden capabilities. Diplomatic groups argued for restraint, suggesting observation and negotiation to avoid unnecessary loss. Analysts worked feverishly to interpret the message, but human logic defied their algorithms and assumptions. Every discussion, every decision point, emphasized the same uncomfortable truth: Earthlings could not be fully understood, their audacity altering calculations at every level. Fleet movements slowed, engines idled, and star systems held collective breaths, unsure whether to advance or withdraw. Human leaders, monitoring fragments of alien communications, seized the opportunity. They reinforced the perception of hidden capabilities, sending subtle signals implying readiness, intelligence, and coordinated defense. Each transmission leveraged uncertainty, making alien civilizations second-guess assumptions. Small decisions, minor adjustments, and clever misdirection created a cumulative effect, magnifying humanity's apparent influence. Citizens on Earth remained unaware, continuing panic, preparation, and debate, yet the HFY reality was undeniable. Ingenuity, courage, and audacity had placed them at the center of galactic strategy, a species commanding attention far beyond its size or technology. Alien fleets recalibrated positions, some retreating cautiously, others holding standoff, engines charged yet stationary. Councils debated, sending observers, recalculating probabilities, and questioning long-held assumptions about humanity's capabilities. Fear, respect, and curiosity combined into a tense equilibrium. What had once been a clear path to destruction was now a complex puzzle. The message had transformed Earth from a passive target to an active factor in interstellar considerations. One species, small, audacious, and unpredictable, had reshaped the galaxy's perception of power and threat. As hesitation spread, humanity's confidence grew. Leaders, strategists, and analysts realized that their survival was no longer solely dependent on defense or diplomacy, but on continued clever maneuvering and psychological leverage. Humans had demonstrated that audacity, intellect, and improvisation could rival firepower, that unpredictability could challenge deterministic systems, and that courage could shift outcomes on a galactic scale. Every intercepted response, every pause, and every recalculated trajectory reinforced the principle that humans, small in number and size, were formidable in spirit, ingenuity, and resilience. Alien factions continued deliberations. Some began advocating alliance, trade, or information exchange, recognizing the strategic value of a species capable of audacious thinking. Others remained skeptical, maintaining defensive postures while carefully observing. Humanity had become both a threat and an asset, simultaneously feared and respected. Fleets waited, eyes metaphorically fixed on Earth, unsure whether the signals were bluff, cunning, or genuine capability. The hacker's transmission had catalyzed a re-evaluation across civilizations, establishing a new baseline for how the galaxy perceived humans: unpredictable, clever, and consequential. Back on Earth, ordinary citizens remained unaware of the cosmic drama. Panic persisted, debates continued, and preparations for defense were ongoing. Yet the HFY element, humans redefining their place in the galaxy, was already established. The species once viewed as fragile and insignificant had proven that intellect, creativity, and courage could alter destinies, shaping interstellar decisions without a single shot fired. Humanity's resilience and audacity were now written across the stars, a testament to the unpredictable power of a species refusing to be erased quietly. The final transmission had not only paused aggression but initiated dialogue. Alien councils, fleets, and strategists now approached Earth as an enigma demanding attention. Messages of observation, curiosity, and tentative diplomacy flowed through the galaxy. The hacker's audacious signal had rewritten priorities, forcing civilizations to weigh risk, reward, and the unknown potential of a species previously disregarded. Fear mixed with fascination, hesitation intertwined with respect. Humanity had become a decisive factor in galactic calculations, proving that audacity could equal influence, and unpredictability could rival force. Humans, unaware of the full scale, continued to demonstrate resilience, adaptability, and ingenuity in small, everyday ways. Each act, each decision, reinforced the principle that the species was capable of extraordinary outcomes when confronted with overwhelming odds. The galaxy had been shaken, councils debated endlessly, and fleets remained poised yet uncertain. Earth had survived not because of size, firepower, or conventional strategy, but because humans had acted boldly, unpredictably, and intelligently. The HFY truth was undeniable. One species, small but audacious, had changed the balance of the galaxy. As alien fleets held positions and councils deliberated, the message's effects continued to ripple outward. Earth remained under threat, but the window for survival had widened, shaped by ingenuity rather than strength. Humans had shown that audacity, intelligence, and courage could force civilizations to pause, reconsider, and respect. The galaxy had learned that unpredictability was a power no algorithm could fully anticipate, and that a small species could command attention and influence outcomes far beyond expectation. The hacker's transmission, a single act of defiance, had reshaped perception and strategy across countless worlds. Humanity's survival, once in question, now rested on audacity, intellect, and spirit. The galaxy would never view Earth the same way again. One species, previously insignificant, had proven that courage, creativity, and determination could challenge the most powerful civilizations. Humans had spoken, and the universe had listened. Defiance had become influence, audacity had become survival, and unpredictability had become respect. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge a new reality. Earth was awake, aware, and impossible to ignore.